Today we're going to make and decorate a purple sweet potato chiffon cake. Let's start by making the purple sweet potato paste. Cut the purple sweet potato into small cubes. Steam on high heat until they are softened, about 25 minutes, depending on the size of a sweet potato and the heat level. When the sweet potato can be easily pierced with a fork or chopstick, that means they are done. Take out 100 grams to make the cake later. Transfer the rest into a food processor. Add the softened butter, sugar, and milk. Don't pour in all the milk at this time just in case the paste gets too watery. Add in about 2/3 of it. Blend until smooth. If you don't want to use a blender, you can mash the potato by hand and whisk in the ingredients. I use a blender because we're going to use this paste to make our cream later, so I prefer these to be smoother. Check on the consistency. If it's too thick, then add a little bit more milk. This looks about right. It's smooth, easily spread out, but not runny. Transfer them into a bowl. Cover it and let it cool in the fridge. Now let's make the cake. First, mix the oil and flour. First, combining the oil and flour is simple and won't develop gluten. You can stir it any way you want and you don't have to sieve the flour neither. Now add the proper sweet potato, milk, and egg yolks. Stir until all well combined. Now let's whip the egg whites. Add cream of tartar to the egg whites and beat on high speed. Cream of tartar can stabilize the meringue. If you don't have it, you can add a small teaspoon of lemon juice instead. You can also use a hand mixer for this. Both methods will work just fine. When you see big bubbles forming, add 1/3 of the sugar. Continue to beat on high speed. When the foam becomes finer and silkier, you can add another 1/3 of the sugar. Continue to beat on high speed. The foam will continue to get silkier, and the whites will be starting to hold the trail of the whisk. At this point, you can add the remaining sugar and beat on medium-high speed. Continue beating until you see some stiff peaks. After lifting the whisk, the meringue is stable and firm and the peak will not drip. Scoop about 1/3 of the egg whites to the batter and fold it in gently. This is to lighten the batter initially and prepare it for the rest of the egg whites. Once it's mixed well, change to a spatula and pour it into the egg whites. Continue to fold gently until it's all combined. Repeat this movement until the batter is homogeneous. Don't overdo it. Transfer the batter into the pan immediately. Shake it, tap it a couple of times to get rid of the big bubbles, and draw a few circles with a toothpick to flatten the surface. Place in the preheated oven and bake at 300 degrees for 50 minutes. Personally, I prefer to bake it at 300 degrees for 40 minutes, then increase the temperature to 320 degrees for 5 minutes. This is after a few testings with my oven as oven temperature varies. If I just bake it at 300 degrees for 50 minutes, even though it's perfectly baked, the top of the cake will be a bit sticky after it's cool. So if you have the same problem, you can do the same switch. Once it's out of the oven, tap it on the table once, then cool it upside down. It will take 2 to 3 hours to cool completely. Now that the cake is cool, remove it from the pan carefully, then slice it into 3 layers. Unlike my previous cakes, this time we don't need to flatten the surface. We can keep the slightly domed cake top as is. Now let's make some whipped cream frosting. We will make 3 batches. For the first one, combine heavy whipping cream and powdered sugar into a chilled mixing bowl. Whip on high speed until it thickens. This is good. Second batch. Combine the cream, purple sweet potato paste, and powdered sugar. Whip on high speed until it thickens. Third batch is the same as the second batch, just more sweet potato paste. Here are the 3 batches of cream in different colors. I have some potato paste left, so I'm going to pipe some simple flowers. I'm using Wilton Pedal Piping Tip 120. Put these in the freezer. Let's start decorating. Add a little bit of cream at the bottom to secure the cake to the cake board. Apply a layer of the darkest color purple sweet potato whipped cream frosting. Now apply the lighter color frosting. Cover the entire cake with a white whipped cream frosting. Then add some color here and there to make it look more interesting. Smooth out the cream the best you can. It doesn't have to be perfect. Next, transfer the remaining cream into a large piping bag. Start with the darkest purple, then the lighter one, and finally the white. I'm going to show you two different ways to easily decorate this cake. For the first one, I'm using a large star piping tip 1A. Start from the center of the cake and start piping the cream in a circular motion. You can stop right here as the cake looks beautiful as is now. But I'm going to take it up a notch and add some chocolate on the side. Put the cake in the fridge. Make some candy melts in the microwave. Transfer it to a piping bag. Prepare a piece of plastic sheet or parchment paper that is long enough to wrap the cake. Start piping the chocolate on there. Leave it on the counter for a couple of minutes. Now take the cake out from the fridge and wrap this on there. Put this in the fridge to set. The chocolate will harden very quickly. Once hardened, remove the paper carefully. For the finishing touches, pipe some cream on top. Then add the sweet potato flowers that I made earlier. This is now completed. Now we'll look at the second design. This time I will use Wilton piping tape 124. Just like the previous cake, start from the center of the cake and pipe the cream in a circular motion. The effect is very similar to the previous one, only that this gives a more flowery look. And this is now completed. Super easy but looks very pretty. Thanks so much for watching.